Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Real Talk Live with Rodney, people to people, power to power, positive thinking people. I hope all is well. Hope everyone is blessed. And I'm just trying to get prepared for 2021. So I'm coming just really trying to help a lot of people, even myself, to be prepared for where we're going into this new year, because we got less than 30 days. And with a new year, we can come with a new attitude, and we can just do things differently. And you might hear the humming and stuff. That's my fish aquarium next to me. I'm gonna quiet it down for a minute. I think what I'll do is I'm gonna do that. There we go. Quiet it down just a little bit. First of all, I hope all is well. I send peace and blessings to you. My topic today is toxic relationships. And I had a reason for doing that. I've been talking to quite a few people over the last week, and also evaluating even myself. So I don't want to, all the time point the finger out at other people, but I talk about myself as well, and things that I need to work on, and relationships that I have are toxic as well. So, and one of the things that I've come to realize is that I have to focus and learn how to deal with people who are toxic in my life. Now, they could see me as being toxic too. So, the table is always, when you point a finger, you got three fingers coming back at you. So it could be somebody saying I'm toxic in their life too, and that's fine. And if they join in and listen today, and we come up with some kind of remedy that will help them move forward, then so be it. I send peace and blessings to you, and hope that the conversation today will benefit you some kind of way. But more so, I think that the reason why I was really thinking about it so strong is because down around the holidays, people become more depressed, and things start to happen, and people recognize things that are keeping them in a down position with their spirit. They lose their motivation. This is Motivation Monday, and I'm not trying to make this a downer situation, because when you talk about things that are sometimes bad for you, they can become a good thing for you, because you start to recognize on how to approach them. So the topic today is toxic relationship. How do you know if a relationship is toxic? Real Talk Live with Rodney, people to people, power to power, positive thinking people. Some of us have a toxic relationship with even God. Think about it. You think about that. But I know that the point I want to make, because it's a lot of people right now, including myself, that we have to just think about how we're structuring our relationship with people. Are we putting too much in the coffee? In the coffee of the cup. When you make a cup of coffee, you put your cream and sugar and all those things in there, and you want that coffee to be good. And a lot of times we come into relationships like that, thinking that we put the cream and the sugar in there, and we don't realize that we didn't check the milk and check the date on it, and that the milk was sour. So now what happens, that coffee becomes toxic. It's not really the way we want it. And so that's a problem, because what you have to do, most of us don't want to drink a toxic coffee, a cup of coffee with sour milk in it. So you got to get rid of it. You got to dump it, and you got to start over, and you got to, watch what you're doing and observe your process. So I want to first say thank you to God. Thank you, Lord, Father God, for you just giving me this platform. I've spoken to many people, and I've gotten encouraged in many ways. And the one thing that I just really realize is that in my growth, I am eliminating toxic people, situations, and toxic things all around me. Now, a lot of times I found out when I be having this conversation on Real Talk Live, people think that my life is all in a uproar or something because they might be saying I'm being real serious. But I'm thinking about other people. I'm thinking about other people who are having problems and they don't have the voice to speak out, or they don't know how to say it. But take a moment and think about your relationships that you have around you, and find out if they're toxic. You know, I'm going to start off with my relationship, how I've been working and building my relationship with God. See, when I started off this early part of this year, I felt confident before the pandemic came in, and I had all these plans and things I wanted to do, and I said and so it was all about, you know, what Rodney was going to do and how I was going to make this happen, and, you know, and I was going about it like that, and not taking the time to think about the relationship that I need to build with the main source that's going to help me through it all, which is my God, right? So now when I started going to God, and me and God having these conversations, and if you have a relationship with God, you know what I mean. I realized that it was some things I needed to change in our relationship in order for me to move forward. And I couldn't look at God and blame Him. God created me. He knows my next move. He knows this, that, and that. But I started thinking, I said, why is so much going wrong? That's because the toxic relationship I had with myself and some other people, and the toxic relationship that I had with God. And I wasn't coming to the realization on, you know, how to fix it. Each one of us can fix our relationships when we start with the man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror. When we start with ourselves, we start to pay attention to what's going on around us. I'm looking at people, say like let's start with, we're going to start with jobs. Let's start with the jobs, because I was getting ready to go straight to the families. But we know that we have a lot of people in families that got toxic relationships. But I want to talk about job relationships that are toxic. About people that come into your surrounding. Just say you was on a job for a good while, and all of a sudden, you know, things shift, right? And you had your rhythm going. You had your rhythm going and everything is going good, and then you get this person that steps in and they just disrupt everything. That's a toxic situation. That becomes a situation that you have to figure out how you're going to work with it and what you're going to do to fix it. Because sometimes when that toxic individual come around you, they don't have any intention on fixing anything. They don't have any intention on making your life a bed of roses. So then you have to figure out how to deal with it and don't fall into the toxic uproar and that back and forth. You know what I mean? You got to figure out how you're going to deal with it. Many of us have toxic relationships on the jobs all the time. Somebody think they're better than you. Somebody don't like the way you dress. Somebody don't like the way you wear your hair. Somebody don't like it because you think you're smarter, or you're moving forward. You have all these toxic things, and so let me speak when I'm talking about myself. I had many situations where, in different cases, I had some very, very toxic people around me, and I was allowing them to dictate my moods. I was allowing them to I was going home with that toxic energy on me. And so it was frustrating me, and it was causing discomfort in my home. It was causing discomfort in my personal life. It was even causing discomfort even with my relationship with God, because some of the stuff that I was thinking wasn't of God. It wasn't of God. It was that toxic aroma that these people was putting out, and I was receiving it, and sometimes putting it back out myself. It's two sides to every story. And I found out that after a while, from a very good, I call him a friend, it's a person I like talking to. He always gives me some good information and some good advice. And he told me, he said, Rodney, you know, if you can't fix it right away, don't worry about He said, and then when people coming at you and they don't like what you're doing and you're doing something that's positive in your life and is making you move forward, don't worry about them because they become real toxic around you. He didn't use the word toxic. He used some other words, but I know what he meant. They become like that toxic water. You know, you might drink the water and somehow or another somebody stuck their finger in and they had some fingernail polish on that came into the water and the water don't taste right. That's a toxic change going to the water. People do that in your everyday life on your job. How do you deal with that? As we all know, we God-fearing people, God-respecting people, God-loving people, what we do, first of all, we need to pray for them. But then you have to remove yourself from that toxic environment. So yeah, you still got to go to work. You still got to deal with them. But you remove them, that toxic aroma that they put off, rebuke it. And know that somehow or another you got to find a remedy on how to make you be able to navigate around it without disrupting it. Okay, let's go to some toxic relationships in families. We have a lot of that. We have a lot of that. And around the holidays it becomes even more so prevalent because what happens is individuals start to want to socialize. And then you'll start seeing things come up. You know, I've been thinking about something. I got a few people that, you know, I talked to and they were going through some issues. You got this one person who got a lot going on. They got problems. They have a problem. So what they do, they become a toxic individual and they want to come to another person and talk about their issues that you and they are having to another person to make them become toxic in their thinking with you and your relationship. And what happens? That toxicity, it starts to spread. It spreads. What about in your personal relationship with husband and wife? Husband and wife. You got to pay attention to toxic things that can cause your relationship to go down. You pay attention to it to a point where you have to address them and you deal with them so that you don't have to keep absorbing that toxic energy and you don't give that negative toxic energy back. And there's two sides to everything. It's not just a one-sided situation. You know when they say it takes two to argue, it does. You can have one person arguing, if one of them don't say nothing, they be talking to themselves, they arguing by themselves. Well, when somebody come to me and they offer me a cup of tea, my wife offered me this cup of tea, right? And I'm going to taste it. And that tea is good. See, I didn't taste any toxic flavor in that, right? Now, what I'm saying is, because right now and where we are, I'm dealing with where we are. And the toxic things that we have to deal with, we deal with. We face them. It's real talk. Real talk live. I'm telling you, if you have a situation that's toxic around you, deal with it. My tea is good. Not all the time when somebody else gives me a tea, is the tea good or the water's good. Because the energy they give it to me in is not good. I'm not sending no subliminal messages. I'm telling you that each one of us have to work on our relationships. And it can happen to any one of us. I think about the toxicity that comes within the children with their parents. Isn't that funny that the kids look at the parents and they forget that the parents was the one that used to wipe their behind and feed them and clothe them, take them to school, protect them. And then as the children become adults, they become toxic with the way of the world, the way they want to live. And then what they do is then they come back to you with this toxic, negative attitude. And it can cause some serious problems. Do we have three,
Some messages.
Go ahead.
All right. Kevin Simpson says happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you, my brother.
Rachel says good day, family.
Good day.
Felicia says good evening, family, and she also says it is toxic when it's one-sided. Key is prayer, removing yourself, be a better you. And Gerald says great evening, real talk. And Victoria War Howard says good evening.
Good evening, good evening. Okay, Real Talk Live, Rodney Grimes with Rodney Grimes. My topic today is toxic relationships. When I'm speaking about that, toxic relationships, they come from all ends. And you're right, Felicia, you know, we got to pray over it. We got to, well, you know, it's not a one-sided thing. A lot of us deal with it. You know, and this year, I have toxic things that have been going on around me, right? So when I talk, I don't want to talk and be pointing at the other person. I talk about my experiences because a lot of my experiences people can relate to because, you know, we live kind of the same lives. So in these toxic relationships, what do? Yes, one, I pray. I pray for them. But then I have to step back. I had to step back I really had to step back and start evaluating myself and seeing what am I bringing to relationships that's causing them to be toxic, and what are the people bringing relationships to me, what are they bringing to it that's making it toxic as well. Now, I'm talking about toxic relationship. I'm not saying every relationship is bad. I'm not saying that. We have some very, very good relationships. But especially around the holidays, we start to pay attention to that. I was talking to another individual the other day, and they was talking to me in reference to their sister and their brother. And it's funny how toxic it is within their relationship. But the toxicity doesn't come basically within their relationship. It comes from the things before they're even being born. Things that happened before they were born that caused that toxic curse to be on them. That toxic curse. And I talked to somebody the other day and they're saying, you know, we got to start breaking those curses within our families, within our relationships. We got to break them. We got to get, you know, you got stuff to remove the toxicity. I have a fish tank just sitting right next to me. And sometimes I can start seeing my fish going into a different situation because now what I've done is disrupt their environment and the toxicity start to go haywire. So it start becoming chemically imbalanced. Fish start dying. I see fish start getting sick, losing their color. And then what I have to do is I got to start to filter the water. I have to filter it so that the fishes start to feel that smoothness and that comfort and their immune system start to build up. We have to do the same thing. Real talk. It's Real Talk Live with Rodney Grimes. People to people, power to power, positive thinking people. This, you know, I'm not going to be real long today. On Wednesday, we talk about it Wednesday, I got William Pinky Slate and his son is going to be coming in. I'm excited. This will be Slate's second time on the program. He's done some more writing. He's been doing some other powerful things that we want to share, and I'm excited to have him to come on Wednesday. Me and the wife, we are in negotiation on how many days we're going to be going on during the week. We're just trying to work some things out to see how we want to do it. I don't want to take out date night because that's something that we look at to be a very, very powerful program that helps to build relationship, and plus we do a lot of supporting of different black-owned businesses and stuff on that day. So we're trying to work out on how we're going to do that. I'm just right now, I'm letting go and letting God. God has been working with me and just trying to tell me how He wants me to reformulate for 2021. And He wants me to get myself together to remove any toxic things that's around me in the process of me moving forward, so that I can come to you in a much better way, more professional, and give you the things that you need. So what we're doing is we're trying to filter and reevaluate ourselves and how we're doing things. So I'm just sharing that with you. So some changes are going to be coming up, and you'll be hearing about them soon. On Monday coming, I am so excited that I have the pastor Joyce Major Jackson. It's going to be coming in. I am so excited about having her to join us also coming in, and then we have some other people lined up. But what I'm excited about is this, is that we're in a position, we're changing. We're changing the way we're doing things. We're changing how we're treating each other. We're changing how we're supporting each other. And we're changing that toxic, negative attitude that we've had and been receiving from so many people. We are removing it. And we're moving forward. That toxic, negative attitude that we've had in this country. Let's think about that. It's been so toxic this year. I mean, we had black and white people looking at each other like we were germs to each other. For what reason? When God is our creator, He created us all. We all bleed the same color. But that negative, toxic energy was placed into the atmosphere, and people was absorbing it. They was drinking a cup of tea that had mud in it. They was drinking a cup of water that had fingernail polish in it, or some gasoline. From people putting in toxic things into your thinking. Where are we today? Real Talk Live with Rodney Crimes. People to people, power to power, positive thinking people. People to people, me, you, and them being whoever you want them to be. Let me tell you something, being a person, which it's more than one of us, we are the people. What happens when we have that negative, toxic energy around us? We don't help each other. We don't support each other. We worried about what you get first. Oh, I don't want him to succeed. We don't want to see people move forward because we don't think they deserve it. We, the other people, trying to be the judge and jury. That toxic, negative energy. But what I learned when I was in the Marine Corps was this. You can't have that toxic energy in a squad when you are trying to keep everybody alive. When you want everybody to return back from a patrol. When they drop you out there and put that M16 rifle in your hand, and you got 7 to 8 men in your squad, what is it that you have to do? You have to, all the negativity got to go. You got to remove that toxic negativity out of there so that you can think together and move together. That's what we have to do as a people. We have to do that in this country. We have to do it in our families. And, if I may, I want people to think about this. Don't wait till somebody die. Don't wait for somebody to die for all that toxic energy that you have that you got to keep carrying with you. You got to keep carrying that negative, toxic energy with you because you are too big-headed or too ignorant or too selfish. And sometimes maybe you just don't know to recognize that it's a toxic thing going around that you can remove. And that you can have a peaceful relationship. You don't have to see somebody every day to love them. You don't have to be around them every day to love them. And you can go to work and don't like your supervisor but have a good work relationship. Just because y'all don't like each other doesn't mean that, y'all got to sleep together. Y'all don't have to do that, but you can work together. And especially if that person is good at their job and you good at yours, and y'all respect each other appropriately, people to people, y'all can have all that negative, toxic removed. Power to power. Power. I tell you, when you have power with powerful energy in it. Power with powerful energy. And let me tell you something. If you have a power that is toxic, it starts to make things go bad. You got to understand what type of power you want to let in your arena. What kind of energy is a person bringing? Where is their thinking? How are they feeling with you? It's real talk. I prayed before I came on. I'm comfortable. I'm relaxed. And I really had a blessed day. I was talking to God and talking to some of my co-workers and everything. I had a blessed day, and I just thank God when I came home. I say, Lord, you know something? I feel good because I'm removing the toxic things away from me. I ain't going to tell you that it doesn't hurt, because I got some people that I had to just let them go. They don't want to love me on the level I want to love. That's okay. And I don't know what's causing them to be that way. And I'm not going to be the judge or jury to say why. Because that toxic energy, I can't let that toxic energy diffuse the power of the positive energy that God is placing in my life. He's taking me to a level of peace and joy. He's taking me to a level where I'm able to move forward. If you're in a relationship with somebody, I'm talking couples, and things are real bad, don't stay in it. Go get some help. And if the person don't want to get help, remove yourself from that toxic situation. You don't have to be unhappy. I don't think that God gave us, when we see the baby, how happy we are when a baby is born. I think God would be like, he'd be like, I give you these things to make you see the joy of life. And he don't want us to have that child grow up in a toxic situation where they turn out to be maniacs and criminals, rapists, liars, cheaters. Remove that toxicity from you, that negative part of it, and what happens, we become beautiful, beautiful, positive thinking people. I love it. I shared something with someone today, and we were talking, and I wanted them to understand. When I started PTP, you'll see I have PTP for life. That's me. It was Photo Time and Productions. That's what the PTP stood for. And as I started to move forward to help people, and I started my production company, and I was doing production and doing shows and doing different things, I realized that I had to deal with people. And one day, I realized in the process of it, the power of us as the people was moving around. In order for us to move forward, it had to be a positive thing. And I said, oh my goodness, there it was. So God, he just put it in my spirit. People to people, power to power, positive thinking people. People to people, power to power, positive thinking people. That was God's message to me and how to move forward. And I have now arrived at it. So I want you to everybody that's listening to this, realize, you may be going through a rough time, or you're contemplating starting a relationship or getting out of a relationship. Think about, what's going on in it and work on it. Get the toxic out of it. Me and my wife, we have what we call confession. And we use that to help us with the toxic things that can come between us. So when we come to each other and we come openly, we'll say confession. That way then we have to remove the toxic part of it out so that we can receive each other, because we don't agree on everything. Sometimes it get hectic. But when we come to each other and we say, we need to talk, confession. Right immediately when we say confession, now the toxic part of it has to be removed. And we have to sit down and we have to hear the other. Because we don't want to be unhappy. I'm telling you that, so as many people out here who are in these relationships, I'm saying mother and daughter. If y'all having a toxic relationship, don't go pointing the finger at your mother, talking about what she's not doing and what she didn't do. Find out talk to her about her life. How was it when she was your age? What was it like for her? And you may find out that she had a lot of toxic things to go on in her life that causes her to be this certain way, that you find to be toxic to you. And then when you do that, you are able to remove that negative aspect of it, and you can say, oh, Mom, now I know why you was like this or why you felt this way. Because you had these negative things that became toxic in your thinking, in your memory, that causes you to act negative in some situations, that causes toxic energy to go into your relationship. Fathers and sons, remember, your son can't be a man if you're not acting like one. And if you got some toxic things going on around you, you got to fix them. I even think about that with men with your daughters. Think about that, all you young guys who got young daughters. If you constantly bringing toxic energy around their mother and they're receiving that, they're going to think toxic relationships are good. They're going to think it's okay. They're going to think that it's okay. You got to watch how you respond around your little girls. You don't want them to see you fighting in front. Many years ago, when I was in some aggressive relationships, and I admit that, and I deal with that. I keep it real. And so I wanted my daughter to know, don't let no man put their hands on you. Under no circumstances, do not do that. And one conversation, my daughter said, well, Daddy, you did it. And I had to acknowledge it, and I had to not make an excuse for it, but I had to realize that toxic situation was not good for me to let her continue to have in her memory. So I tried to explain some of the toxic things that put me in that situation. I grew up in a house where my father had no problem with beating my mom. For a long time, I thought it was okay, until my daughter was born. I don't want nobody putting their hands on my daughter. So I realized that toxic energy that I received when I was growing up, I had to get it out. And you can. Let's talk about drug problems. You're putting that toxic, negative stuff in your system. And you want to know why. Why people don't want to be around you. They don't want to invite you to their house. They don't want to loan you money. That toxic negativity. You got to deal with it and face it and know that it exists. How do you recognize it? What are some of the signs of being in toxic relationships? I would think, when you find yourself that when a person come around, you don't smile when they come up. I know you got some of them people, you be like, oh, Lord, have mercy. Or when somebody talks to you, and you have this tendency to look at it and say, oh, I don't even feel like listening to that garbage today. It's just so important that we just look at what's going on. Life is too short. What did I get out of this year? What did I get out of this year? I got out of this year that life is not promised. Tomorrow is not promised. And I do not want to die miserable. I don't want to die lonely. I don't want to die unhappy. And I don't want to die by some cruel disease or something of that nature. So what I'm doing is removing the toxic things from around me. And I'm bringing in the things, I'm enjoying the sunrise, and I'm enjoying the rain, and I'm enjoying the flowers. I'm even, I'm show you how toxic things could be, right? Let's keep it real talk, right? So I had a raccoon that was coming in my yard that was going in my trash can. So one day what I did, I got my pellet gun, and I saw it when it was coming, and I busted in the behind. And it jumped. Now, get where I'm talking with the toxic part of this, right? What happened was, that was that negative energy that I had in me, that I, as a person, felt that I had a right to shoot this thing in the butt for me to get it to stay away from my trash can. But all that negative, toxic thinking that I had me blinded. For a moment, instead of looking and saying, the raccoon just trying to get something to eat. He just wants something to eat. So I had to go back and then evaluate myself and think about that negative energy and all that was around me, that every time I saw that raccoon, I was like, man, I got to go get the pelican because I want to shoot him because I don't want him to get in my trash. Now, I know I don't want him in my trash. I don't want the trash all over the place, and I'm not going to feed him to attract him to come. But what I did do was this. I started putting the clothes hanger in my trash top and keeping it down so he couldn't get in it. I removed the toxic part of that situation. See, I don't want to hurt the animal because where I live at, they were here before me. We didn't want to build houses in these areas where all these trees and the swamps and all that stuff is. I live in Fort Washington. I'm telling you, it used to be nothing but woods over in this area. In a lot of areas. And we came in and they still want to raise their little raccoons. I don't know what you call little baby raccoons, but they want to raise them and bring food to them. And when we got this toxic, negative attitude with us that we want to destroy that. That's what happens in relationships when you let that toxic energy come in and maintain. It causes you to do things that's not godly. It causes you to be very negative to people, and it causes you to not be happy. After I shot the raccoon in the butt, I see that it didn't really hurt him. He kind of just turned around and said, "Do it again." He kind of looked at me like, "Yeah, okay." But I'm gonna tell you something. What I realized is I said, "Nah." Then my wife said, "Don't do that, don't do that." She even when the deers come, she said, "Babe, don't bother them. They ain't doing nothing to you." You know what my point is in saying that? I'm talking about the toxicity, the toxic negative energy that we allow to get in our lives, and people bring it to you. Get rid of it. Get away from the people. I'm talking children. If your children are toxic, let them go. If they got that toxic energy, let them go. Go for your parents too. If your parents got that negative, toxic attitude, you gotta let them go in order for you to move forward. This is Real Talk Live with Rodney Grimes. People to people, power to power, positive thing to people. Hey, I just felt that I wanted to share this message. I'm getting ready to remove some toxic stuff from me right now because I'm on. No, I was getting ready to make a joke, but that wasn't really going to be funny without getting ready to say. But anyway, I'm going to put something positive in my body, and and I'm going to stay positive with this energy. I send peace and blessings to you. This is the holiday time. You know that's one thing else. Before I go, I'm going to talk about that real quick. I wouldn't celebrate the holiday. Oh, and I almost forgot. Oh my God. Today is one of my boy Troy. I didn't call Troy to wish him a happy birthday. I got to call him. It ain't 12 o'clock and I still got time. Happy birthday to you, my brother Troy. See how that toxic stuff can get you it all screwed up and everything? Happy birthday to you, my brother Troy. I'm going to call you as soon as I get off the air. And, I'm going to say, happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. That's a good dude. Troy, hey, peace and love, my brother. Again, it's Real Talk Live with Rodney Grimes. People to people, power to power, positive thing to people. For everybody that just joined in today, hey, no. Hey, question yourself about your toxic relationships. Look at it. What can you do to identify them? And what can you do to remove them? Don't go into 2021 with a toxic relationship with the Lord God. I'm telling you, work on your relationships with everybody around you. But first, go to God and work on that toxic relationship that you may have with Him. Work on those things that you got to straighten out in your life so that you'll be able to receive your blessings and be blessings to others. All of this I ask you, and I just send my greetings to you And I say thank you so much. And I'm saying this hoping that she's going to get up and get ready to take me out. And I didn't want to have to say that, but God is good. And yeah, thank you. But this is Real Talk Live with Rodney Grimes, people to people, power to power, power to thinking people. Remember, God is good. Keep Him first. And remember, remove the toxic things out of your life so that you can feel good about your sunshine. Real talk.